We're going to start out with one of the easiest ways that you can use ChatGPT to develop innovative teaching. So what do we do? Well, we're going to use ChatGPT in a way that's going to support our own creativity, that's going to allow us to go and look through and explore ideas much more quickly, and we're going to look at it in the context of lesson planning. Now, I'm going to show you a bunch of examples, but you can adapt this to whatever topics or content or ideas or supplies that you have and that you'd like to explore with your students. So let's take a look. I'm going to go and create a basic example, and I'm going to try to generate a lesson plan. I've got some supplies on hand that I think the kids would have fun with. I also have a topic that I want to look into, which is fractions, but at the same time, we're also learning about geography. And so I'm going to try to figure out, can I mix all these things together? Can I generate some interesting ideas for how I might create some fun lesson plan around these topics that also incorporates activities with things that I have on hand? So I'm going to ask ChatGPT, create 3 fun sample lesson plans for me that combine fractions, ice cream, a bowl of jelly, and 4th grade geography. Now, the key behind this is anytime you want to go and generate a lesson plan, you want to start off with real specific things that you're looking for to go into it. If you just say, create a lesson plan for me, it's not going to have enough information. You want to go and get really specific about what you're trying to accomplish. Now, if I wanted something more specific than fractions, I wanted like, multiplication with fractions, and I only wanted that, I want to go and specify that. So you want to begin wrapping in all the different content. Now let's look at what it's created for us. It says, certainly, here are 3 fun sample lesson plans that combine fractions, ice cream, a bowl of jelly, and 4th grade geography. So the first one is ice cream continents. Students will identify continents and countries while understanding the concept of fractions. Begin by showing a world map, discuss the 7 continents, and select a few countries from each continent. Activity, give each student a bowl of jelly. This represents the world's oceans. Provide ice cream scoops of different color flavors to represent each continent. Students will place the ice cream scoops on the jelly to represent the ice cream continents. Fraction, ask questions such as what fraction of your bowl is covered by the ice cream? If the scoop represents Asia and this smaller scoop represents Australia, what fraction does each represent? Now it's okay, right? The key thing to recognize here is the more of your spark and creativity you're going to inject into it, the better it's going to get. So when you start off lesson planning, what's going to happen a lot of times is you're going to get something that's not perfect, but maybe it's a seed of some interesting idea. The next one seems a little more interesting to me. Ice cream trade routes. Objective. Students will learn about historic trade routes and their significance while using fractions. Briefly discuss the Silk Road, the Trans-Saharan trade routes, etc. Place a large world map on the floor. The bowl of jelly represents a major trading commodity like spices. Ice cream scoops will represent different countries or cities. Use string to map out the trade routes between the ice cream scoops. Pose scenarios. If City A wanted to trade half of their jelly for spices, how much would they have left? If City B traded a quarter of their jelly and City C traded 3/8, who traded more? Now this is starting to get more interesting to me, and I could go through and explore this and build it out. So let's take a look at what we might do. So I've decided I like lesson plan 2. And a lot of times what you're going to get is a starting point, a draft. And whenever you're working with this tool, I want you to think about it. You need to always be going beyond whatever it's giving you. You need to always be evolving it, improving it, using your creativity, your spark as a teacher, your knowledge of the students to take it further. The goal should not be to get it to generate and just stop. It should be to go and create something amazing and evolve it over time using your understanding of everything that's going on. So I like this ice cream trade routes idea. So I'm going to say I'd like to further develop lesson plan 2. Let's make this a 60-minute activity, provide a more detailed outline of the lesson plan with time allocations. So when you're doing lesson planning, you want to go in, you can generate an initial skeleton. Better to even generate a bunch of different ideas. Keep iterating until you get some basic framework that you like, and then ask it to start adding detail. So in this case, I'm telling it which lesson plan I want to increase the detail in. Then I'm telling it additional information it needs, like how long I want the lesson plan to be. I want it 60 minutes, and I want a more detailed outline. So now it goes down and it says ice cream trade route, 60 minutes. And we'll notice it's broken down the activity into finer granularity. So now we have, here's the introduction for 10 minutes, the different parts of the introduction, what we're going to do in setting up the world map, which is going to be another 10 minutes, then the trading activity. In groups, students will decide on their trade routes and connect their ice cream cities using strings. They will discuss why certain routes are more efficient or popular, pose different trading scenarios, and it goes back to the fractions. And then it has fraction connection, again, more of it, and a conclusion. Now, I'm liking this idea of kind of trade routes and fractions. I can see kids having fun with trading. So let's think of what we could do. Well, let's say, I'm not sure I want to give a bunch of ice cream and jelly. This seems like a recipe for a mess. And I'd really like to be a little more focused in on the content. So let's just go and follow up and refine. And this is something I want you to think about over and over. Just get something and continually refine it. Give it more feedback, continue to add detail, continue to tell it what it needs to improve upon, what to remove, what to change, what to add from a concept perspective, or what to remove. So I'm going to say, let's add some commodity that isn't messy, that the student groups can trade with each other, because I don't want them trading ice cream and Jell-O. Let's assume we have 5 groups, and so I'm adding more detail. Let's create a fractional exchange rate for all the commodities. All of the students will need to end up with the same overall value of commodities, but they should have to trade to acquire commodities that the cities on their trade route need. So they're going to, take over these cities, and they're going to try to run them. And so now it comes back. It gives us our different commodities like silk, spices, gold, tea, and pottery. And then it gives us the exchange rates that we could potentially use for this. Now, again, I could go and look at these, and I would look at them before I gave them to students and think about, like, are these the right exchange rates? Are these fractions that they're going to understand? Does it have the right concepts? But whatever content you're working with, it could be something at the college level, like I teach a lot of times, and looking at a cybersecurity example and thinking about how we can incorporate different things. And how to explore it. The goal is you want to inject your knowledge, your creativity into this. Now it comes back with some group assignments. We're going to have different groups assigned to cities. So we've got Beijing, Cairo, Timbuktu, London, and Delhi. And it just describes basically what individual commodities it's going to decide each city starts with. And then it gives trading scenarios. Beijing needs to trade tea for its population, but has silk. They need to find a route to London, perhaps through Delhi, to acquire the tea. And so it gives different scenarios and begins building this out. It then goes into the activity of what we're going to do in more time. And then we can begin thinking even more in depth about it. What are all the materials? It listed some things, but what else are we going to need? So we can go and start querying and helping to brainstorm what are we going to need to support these activities. So we ask it, what materials will we need for this activity? Well, we're going to need a large world map, ice cream scoops, strings, bowl of jelly, and then silk, spices, gold, tea, pottery down here, the commodities for training, and then additional supplies, scissors, sticky notes or labels, whiteboards and markers, printed exchange rate sheets so that students can use them to trade with each other. Optional enhancements include themed music, playing some historic or thematic music, costumes or props, video or image resources. So it's really kind of helping to brainstorm and think about all the ways we can make this sort of an interesting and exciting thing. Again, the key to it is for you to inject your creativity into it, your knowledge of the students, and to go and to continue and refine. It's to help you brainstorm, help you come up with interesting ideas. Now, I realize we need some goals for how much each commodity, each group needs to acquire. So we want the students to try to achieve something in their exchanges with each other. We also need starting commodity allocations. We want each group to have to trade with multiple other groups to reach their goals. So now it comes back and it gives us a starting allocation. And notice this is different. It's gone and changed up what it originally said. I believe Beijing originally just got silk. And I guess it does. It still has 1 silk, but now it needs to acquire half a tea and a quarter of gold. And so it gives the options for how they would do that. And I go and I read through it and I say, it says Beijing, they can get tea from London, but London wants gold in exchange. So Beijing must first trade with Timbuktu to get some gold and then trade with London or tea. And so they can go and do this and basically start running through the exchanges. And it gives sort of scenarios of how they might do that. But then I notice there's a problem, right? It's supposed to have all these silk scarves and all these other things. I don't really want to give them a bunch of silk scarves and start ripping them up. So I think, all right, I need to tell ChatGPT, like, that part of the activity just doesn't work. I'm always needing to provide feedback to it on what will and will not work. And I'm thinking through what I'm going to do and what I'm going to teach. I'm supporting my brainstorming. So I go back and I tell it, I like the commodities, but we can't really rip up a scarf. Can you come up with some strips of paper to represent the commodities. The paper should have marks to help the students visualize the fractions and allow them to be cut up into fractional pieces of the commodity. And so now it creates the ideas of, well, silk will be light blue, spices will be brown, gold, yellow, tea green, and pottery a gray or reddish brown strip of paper. So it's evolving based on my feedback to it. And notice what we've done. Over and over, we've gone back to it and we've told it what to give more detail to, what to improve, what to change. And this is the way you're going to approach the tool and all of the things that we're doing with it for education. Now it comes back with strips that have markings on them at different points and on the strip to represent the fractions. And then it gives instructions for how to use it. Now, at the last part of this, I'm going to show you the last thing that we could do. And if you have an access to ChatGPT Plus and the advanced data analysis capability, and I have a class on this that also goes into much greater depth of this, we can actually go in and then we can say, can you create a PDF for me that has rectangles with markings that I can cut out for the strips? And then we could go and look at this to see if it gets right and actually did we get a handout that we could use in this activity. And here's what we got. Now we have a PDF and it's close. It's not perfect, but we could go back and refine it, tell it how to improve its rendering of the strips. But honestly, it's close enough that I would probably just print this out, take it, get some rulers, draw some lines across it, and I've got myself some strips that I could go and present this activity to the students with. So it's an accelerator that can help you create these ideas, create the products that you need to actually go and use the activities or the lesson plans or whatever it is. But it's at the end of the day, the most important thing about this is it's your creativity. It's your putting together interesting things that are going to be engaging. It's you understanding the students and what their needs are, not it. And you'll see throughout that, I was guiding it, I was changing it, I was manipulating it, I was giving it more detail. Start off with, here, give me a lesson plan that combines these things. Make the things unexpected and engaging to the students. And then refine, add more and more detail in the areas where more detail is needed. And then eventually get down to the products that you need to support those lessons.